The Snowman by Hans Christian Andersen. "It's so delightful cold," said the Snowman, "but it makes me whole body crackle. This is just the kind of wind to blow life into one. Oh, that great red thing up there staring at me." He meant the sun, who was just setting. "It shall not make me wink. I shall manage to keep the peace." He had two triangular pieces of tile in his hands instead of eyes. His mouth was made of an old broken rake, and was, of course, furnished with teeth. He had been brought into existence amongst the joyous shouts of boys, the jingling of sleigh bells, and the slashing of whips. The sun went down, and the full moon rose, large, round, and clear, shining in the deep blue. "There it comes again, from the other side," said the Snowman, who supposed the sun was showing himself once more. "I have cured him of staring, thought, now he may hang up there and shine, that I may see myself. If I only knew how to manage the move away from this place, I should so like to move. If I could, I would slide along yonder on the piece, as I've seen the boys do. But I don't understand how. I don't even know how to run." "Away, away," barked the old yard dog. He was quite hoarse, who could not pronounce bow wow properly. He had once been an indoor dog, and lay by the fire, and he had been hoarse ever since. "The sun will make you run some day. I saw him last winter make your predecessor run, and his predecessors before him. Away, away, you'll all have to go." "I don't understand you, Cameron," said the Snowman. "Is there a thing up yonder to teach me to run? I saw it running itself a little while ago, and now it has come creeping up from the other side." "You know nothing at all," replied the yard dog. "But when you've only lately been patched up, what is yonder the moon, and the other side it was the sun. It will come again tomorrow, and most likely teach you to run down into a ditch by the well, for I think the weather is going to change. I can feel such pricks and stabs in my left leg. I'm sure there's going to be a change." "I don't understand him," said the Snowman to himself, "but I have a feeling that he's talking of something very disagreeable. The one who starts so just now, and whom he calls the sun, is not my friend. I can feel that too." "Away, away," barked the yard dog, and when he turned around 3 times and crept into the kennel to sleep. There was really a change in the weather. Towards morning a thick fog covered the whole country round, and a keen wind arose, so the cold seemed to freeze one's bones. But when the sun rose, the sight was splendid. Trees and bushes were covered with hoar frost, and looked like a forest of white coral, while on every twig glittered frozen dewdrops. The many delicate forms concealed in summer by luxuriant foliage were now clearly defined, and looked like glittering lacework. From every twig glistened a white radiance. The birch, waving in the wind, looked full of life, like trees in summer, and its appearance was wondrously beautiful. And where the sun shone, everything glittered and sparkled, as if diamond dust had been strewn about. Where a snowy carpet of earth appeared, as if covered with diamonds, on which countless light gleamed, whiter than even the snow itself. "Fern is really beautiful," said a young girl, who had come into the garden with a younger man, and they both stood still near the Snowman and contemplated the glittering scene. "So I cannot show a more beautiful sight," she exclaimed, while her eyes sparkled. "And we can't have such a fellow as this in the summer-time," replied the young man, pointing to the Snowman. "He is captain." The girl laughed and nodded at the Snowman, and then tripped away over the snow with a friend. The snow creaked and cracked beneath her feet, as if she had been treaching on starch. "Who are these two?" asked the Snowman of a yard dog. "You've been here longer than I have. Do you know him?" "Of course I know him," replied the yard dog. "She has stroked my back many times, and he has given me a bone of meat, and never bite was too." "But what are they?" asked the Snowman. "They are lovers," he replied. "They will go and live in the same kennel by and by, and gnaw at the same bone. Away, away." "Are they the same kind of beings as you and I?" asked the Snowman. "Well, they belong to the same master," retorted the yard dog. "Certainly people who were only born yesterday know very little. I can see that in you. I have age and experience. I know everyone here in the house, and I know there was once a time when I did not lie out here in the cold, fenced to a chain. Away, away." "The cold is delightful," said the Snowman, "but Do tell me, only you must not clank your chainsaw, for it's just afford me when you do it. Away, barked the yard dog. I'll tell you, they said I was a pretty little fellow once. They used to lie in a velvet-covered chair up at the master's house and sit in the mistress' laps. I used to kiss my nose and wipe my paws with an emerald handkerchief, and it was called Amy, dear Amy, sweet Amy. But after a while I grew too big for them, and they sent me away to the housekeeper's room, so I came to live in the lower store. You can look at a room from here you stand and see where I was master once, for I was indeed master to the housekeeper. It was certainly a smaller room than Rose upstairs, but I was comfortable, for I was not being continually taken hold of and put about by the children as I had been. I received quite a good food, and even better, at my own cushion, and there was a stove. It is the finest thing in the world at the session of the year. I used to go under the stove and lie down quite benefit. I still dream of that stove. Away. Does the stove look beautiful? Asked the Snowman. Is it at all like me? It is just the reverse of you, said the dog. It's black as a crow, and has a long neck and a brass knob. It eats firewood, so that fire sputs out of its mouth. You should keep on one side or under it to be comfortable. You can see it through the window from where you stand. When the Snowman looked and saw a bright polished ring with brass knob and fire gleaming from the lower part of it, the Snowman felt quite a strange sensation come over him. It was very odd. He knew not what it meant, and he could not account for it. But there are people who are not men of snow who understand what it is. And why did you leave her? Asked the Snowman. For it seemed to him that the stove must be of female sex. How could you give up such a comfortable place? I was obliged, replied the dog. You turned me out of doors and chained me up here, and biting the youngest of master's sons in the leg, because he kicked away the bone I was gnawing. Bone for bone, I thought. But they were so angry, and from the time I have been festered with a chain and lost my bone. Don't you hear how hoarse I am? Away. I can't talk any more like other dogs. Away. It is the end of the dawn. But the Snowman was no longer listening. He was looking into the housekeeper's room with a lower stove, and the stove stood on its 4 iron legs, looking about the same size as the Snowman himself. What a strange crackling I feel within me, he said. Shall I ever get her there? It is an innocent wish, and innocent wishes should be fulfilled. I must go in there and lean against her, even if I have to break her window. You must never go in there, said the dog, for if you approach the stove, you'll melt away. I might as well go, said the Snowman, for I think I'm breaking up as it is. During the whole day, the Snowman stood looking in through the window, and in the twilight hour the room became still more inviting, for from the stove came a glow, not like the sun or the moon, nor only the bright light which gleams from a stove when it has been well fed. When a door at the stove was opened, the flames darted out of its mouth. This is customary with all stoves. The light of the flames fell directly on the face and breast of the Snowman with a ruddy gleam. I can endure it no longer, said he. How beautiful it looks when it's stretched out its tongue. The night was long, but did not appear so to the Snowman, or stood there enjoying his own reflections and crackling with the cold. In the morning, the window panes of the housekeeper's room were covered with ice. They were the most beautiful ice flowers any Snowman could desire, but they cancelled the stove. These window panes would not fall, and he could see nothing of a stove, which he pictured to himself as if it had been a lovely human being. The snow crackled and the wind whistled around him. It was just the kind of frosty weather a Snowman might fruitfully enjoy, but he did not enjoy it. How, indeed, could he enjoy anything when he was stove sick? But it is terrible disease for a Snowman, said the yard dog. I have suffered from it myself when I go over it. Away, he barked, and when he added, the weather is going to change. And the weather did change. It began to thaw. As the warmth increased, the Snowman decreased. He said nothing and made no complaint, which is a sure sign. One morning he broke and sat down altogether, and behold, where he had stood, something like a broomstick remained sticking up in the ground. It was a pole around which the boys had built him up. Ah, now I understand why he had such a great longing for the stove, said the dog. There's the shovel that is used for cleaning out the stove, faced it to the pole. The snowman had a stove creeper in his body, and was what moved him so. But it's all over now, away, away. And soon the winter passed. Away, away, barked the horror's yard dog. While the girls in this house sang, "Come from your fragrant home, green vine, stretch your soft branches, willow tree. The months are bringing sweet springtime, and the lark in the sky sings joyfully. Come drink at the sun, while the cuckoo sings, and the monkeys note in a wandering." And nobody thought any more of a snowman.